Hello! Today is Wednesday, February 3rd. Still in Wichita, getting treatment at the Hansa Center. I had a pretty eventful doctor appointment today. I had to be at the Hansa Center pretty early. I got there at 8:45. I did the Beamer. I did the Lux after that on my spleen and liver. And then I did the ST8, and the paddles on that machine were on my liver, and then sort of my lower mid abdomen, and the Valkian goes along with the ST8. So then I was done with my therapies. It was just before 10. I had a doctor appointment at 10 o'clock, and I was done around 11. Got back to my room early and just been relaxing since then. Anyway, so my doctor appointment was, we started out, yesterday my doctor told me he was going to ask one of the other doctors something about iodine and then get back to me about it, as far as using iodine to help clear out the right breast tissue that I'm having trouble with. So he said that he did talk to the other doctor and that he told me where to get some iodine, and to just put the iodine directly onto my body. So then I got on the table and I told him I had a sore spot on my left ankle on the inside. It's not really on the ankle even, just kind of at the top of my heel. And my right arch was hurting. And those things have been hurting on and off, not constantly, and there's not specific things that make them hurt other than when I'm on my feet all day, every day, it's more aggravated. But today was the first day that I noticed it since I was here. And so he was kind of checking out the bones in my feet and kind of adjusting them, but he said they were moving well. They were just, it's like they were angry. So then he went over to a chart on the wall and he was checking out that circuit, I believe is what he was doing, the body circuit. And he was like, oh, iodine it was listed right on there that the specific things that I was feeling and that he was feeling in my feet might be helped by iodine. So that was really funny. And then he had already adjusted my feet, and then he looked at the chart and said about the iodine, but then he got out, I didn't see what it was, something handheld that's kind of like a shocker, and he put that, because when he was looking at the chart, he was also looking at what completes that body circuit, and because the body functions on circuitry, I'm not going to go into all that. I want to make a better effort to make this video update shorter than I've been making them. So, anyway, when he looked at that chart, he saw what would complete that circuit, what other body parts, and it was something in my head, I believe, and then in the arm and shoulder. So anyway, he got this little shocker, and then he put it on, started with my right hand, he put it on the end of this finger, and then he put his hand or his finger on different spots, like on my head, on my shoulder, on my arm, different spots, and he would probably push a button on the shocker and it would send what felt like a static shock through between where the shocker was touching me on my finger and where he was touching me on the other end. And he did that several times on both sides in different spots, and he used one finger on this hand, I believe, and two fingers on this hand um, to complete the circuit. So that should help with whatever pain I was having in my feet. So that was cool. I had never had that done before. Then the next thing he did was got out one of his instruments. It's a chiropractic instrument. I don't know what it's called, but it's shaped similar to like a hand sander. Got a handle on it. Small part here where all the electrical stuff would be housed. And then on the end it has a round rubber pad. And he used that on my head to work where I had disruptions in the movement and placement of my cranial bones right here and right here in particular were difficult, but overall my head, and he did it on my face too, feels really good. It just kind of vibrates and gets the bones moving, and it, as far as my experience of it, it feels kind of like it's massaging as well because it's vibrating on there, and the troubled places, the muscles are very sore. So it felt really good, and my head has been really foggy, like in my frontal brain. And I've had a hard time thinking, and even like as I'm doing these video updates, I've had a hard time thinking clearly and finding the exact words or any words that I'm trying to say. And my brain feels much more clear now. So I'm sure that that stimulation was helpful for that. There's other things that we've been doing that I also would assume are helping. But I think that working with the bones in my head and then the massage action on my muscles in my head and in my face were really helpful for that. And that's one of my favorite things he does, is when he's done that on my head all 3 times that I've been here now. And that's one of my favorite things because it feels so good. Then the next thing we worked with was let's see, you know what, I don't know if this stuff is all going to be in order, but he worked with finding exactly what bacterial issues I was having, or not necessarily what the issues were, but what would correct them. And this was really interesting. Something that's going to help clear the bacterial invasion in my body is homeopathic leeches. And so I asked him what those do. I actually have to confess I don't know that much about leeches. They're not something that have ever interested me, so I don't know much about them. And he said leeches are actually either the most or some of the most versatile creatures on the planet. They can themselves contract just about any kind of sickness, and within a few days they clear it out, and they don't have it anymore. They can be cut in half, and then there's 2 of them. You know, they reproduce on their own. They don't need 2 leeches to reproduce. Anyway, so they're just some of the most versatile creatures on the planet. So homeopathic leeches, the idea of using them is that it's sort of like sucking out the thing that's in the leech that can kill anything that invades it, and then you get that in your body to kill what is invading your body. And there's other stuff in the remedy. And Hansa actually doesn't operate on the idea of let's kill what's in your body. It operates on the idea of let's teach your body how to kill what's not supposed to be in your body, because the human body is also made to overcome just about anything that invades it, and a healthy body will do that. And so the idea is finding the breakdowns in the body, correcting them, and then your body takes care of the invaders and whatever bugs and anything else are attacking it. So that, anyway, that was really interesting to me, the whole thing about leeches. And so now there's not like leeches inside the liquid that I have, but the homeopathic leeches. I don't know if it's like you distill the leeches and get the good stuff out of them or what. But anyway, something about leeches is inside my bacterial remedy, and that's really interesting to me. Then we worked with, let's see, I'm trying to remember how we got to where we went. But essentially, what we talked about, actually, Dr. Streit mentioned on Monday he wanted to check something out with hemoglobin because my body was showing an issue with hemoglobin. And then something else was coming up today. I'm not exactly all sure how he found what he found, but essentially he found that I am having, or was, let's say was, because I started a new remedy and so I'm on the path to healing, having trouble in my mitochondria with the oxalic acid cycle, I think he said. And, or no, no, it was the citric acid cycle, which is also called the Krebs cycle. And I was specifically having trouble either processing or making something about oxalic acid, I think he said. I think it's OXYLIC. Not sure. But actually, when he went through and described it, that it had to do with hemoglobin, it had to do with the cycle of the citric acid cycle in the mitochondria, and I had 2 disruptions. One of them was a toxicity to something. I don't know what the other one was. Anyway, here's essentially what it comes down to: a disruption in the function of my mitochondria, and which would be disrupting the hemoglobin probably. It's not clear to me if we actually addressed the hemoglobin thing specifically, or if the citric acid thing was disrupting the hemoglobin. I don't know. I'll ask him about it tomorrow. But a problem in the mitochondria anyway that is potentially the problem with the hemoglobin. And what it came down to was, well, I'm sure there were a lot of things involved, but the thing that was really interesting was what he found is actually that whatever this whole cycle had something to do with inflammation, and it was looking like because there's an overabundance of inflammation in my body chronically, and it's looking like at least some of that is because of the bacterial invasion. So it's really interesting to me how all this, it always does, it all links together. We had a day where we worked very specifically for a while on inflammation, and we worked on some bacterial stuff earlier today, and now here these things all came together just the same way as the iodine thing was originally about the breast tissue, and then it looks like it's disrupting something in my feet and in my arms. So just it was just really, I don't know exactly. It's a moment of understanding how health is, and healthcare is so integrated, and you can't just try to fix one thing, because most of the time it's more than one thing that's a problem. So you have to look at the whole body and all the systems and everything that's going on. Just like God does for the whole world, he works all things together for the good of those who love him, and everything is always working together. It's not like one thing is working and this other thing isn't. God is in all of it, and he's always working in all of it and through all of it, and it's all linked. So anyway, there was that. Then I did ask about my CRT, if he was able to compare it to the last one and say, I'm however percentage healed. And he did say last time, comparing the two, my first one and my second one, that I looked like I was about 50% healed overall, which was amazing to me. But today he said he couldn't really give a percentage comparing my second and third, but he could say that there's definite healing showing, there's improvement, and it's in the right, all the movement and changes are in the right direction, and even the areas that have trouble, they're showing improvement. Like my neck, for example, and the lymph system aggravation. You know, I think my first CRT, that it was kind of like my lymph system wasn't really doing anything, and then my last one, it was kind of all over the place, which was good because at least it was trying to work. And now that, you know, it's calmed down a little bit and still having trouble, but it is working some anyway. And anyway, so for all areas, there's certainly issues to still work on, but it's moving forward, and that's really good. Then the last thing to say would be when he started, this happened towards the beginning, but it was just kind of the most interesting part of the appointment was that he detected what was coming up as a chemical problem, or chemistry problem with the chemistry in my body, and couldn't find what exactly it was, though. And so he's just working away at it and trying to find what the problem is, and ended up discovering a damage to the biofield, otherwise can be called aura. So a damaged aura, or damaged biophysical field, biofield, forget the exact word, but you know, humans have energy fields, and there's damage to a part of mine. So then he tried to locate where the problem was. He said that kind of damage can be caused by trauma. It can be caused by a physical attack, or I suppose like an injury. It can be caused by a spiritual attack. Then as he just kind of kept hunting, and he'd read in his books and read different things, he said it can be caused emotionally, sort of like self-inflicted because of whatever's going on emotionally. Anyway, he ended up locating that the area that the biofields are damaged is at my left hip and left ovary. And those specific areas indicated, like, say if it's being caused by emotions, the left side of the body is feminine issues, the right side is masculine issues, and the right side, or the left side, this is where this damage is done, and that area the place where it was indicates, emotionally speaking, struggling to, or refusing to, or having a hard time accepting current life situations. And, you know, especially with everything that's gone on with my grandma, and we've had to move her to a different facility, and I've had to face the fact that we can't take care of her, that can certainly fit. And it also would fit lots of other circumstances in my life, which I'm not going to go into now, but it's just suffice it to say that it certainly could fit. And it also could be from, you know, emotional traumas or other things at different times in my life. But it's popping up as an issue now. You know, it's perhaps more current issues than previous issues. But the really super cool thing about it was what he discovered was something he'd never discovered before. And so this is now my third trip where he's done something on me that he's never done, or never found, or found something he's never found, and then came up with a fix for it. So we were laughing that I'm like the mystery patient, or the experimental patient. And so that's fun. And the reason why that was such a big deal to me is because everyone else that ever tries to treat me can never really pinpoint how to help me, or maybe they can help a little bit, but it doesn't go very far. And so it was just affirming to me to feel like it's not that there's something wrong with me as a person. It's because I think, you know, your physical health is very wrapped up in your emotions and in your spirit and what goes on in your mind. And so I often wonder, am I doing something that is causing me to be unable to be healed? And that's just a constant question I have. And what can I do different? And what do I need to do better? And, you know, I'm always kind of thinking, not always, but often thinking of those kinds of things, and trying to keep myself in healing mode, and trying to make sure I process emotions and doing all those things. And I guess I would say I'm just constantly afraid that it's my own fault that I'm sick and that I'm not healed and that it's taking so long to heal and all of that. In fact, that's the exact line of thinking that I attacked in my first round of my 21-day brain detox program that I've been doing. I finished it right before I got here, and I didn't start a new thought process yet because I wanted to focus on what we're doing here, but I do plan to keep doing it because it's basically you choose a toxic thought and you work on that for 21 days. You work on tearing it down and replacing it with a positive, God-filled thought, basically. And then when you're done with that one, you move on to the next one. So I did finish one, and actually I might do it again because that's what it is. It's this belief system that there's something wrong with me that makes it impossible for me to heal because it's my fault that I'm sick in the first place. And actually there are significant people in my life who have more or less said that to me, so that doesn't help. Who have said it's your fault you're sick, and if you were different you would be better. So anyway, the experience today of him finding something that he had never found in anybody else before just helps me feel like, it's not that there's something wrong with me. It makes me feel like maybe I'm just being so spiritually attacked that I just have to keep going. Just got to stick with it and not get bogged down in feeling like it's my fault, but just stick with it and keep going. So anyway, that was cool, and it was a good day, and we laughed a lot and had a lot of fun, and that's always good for healing too. So that's all for today.